Have you ever found yourself at a crossroads, pondering whether or not to give someone who has deeply hurt you a second chance? It's a complex question many of us face in our lives, and it can be challenging to discern the right path forward. Today, we want to invite you to explore the 20 reasons why we should never give a second chance to someone who has hurt us. These reasons can help us make more conscious decisions and protect our own emotional health. My friends, are you ready to identify these 20 reasons for not giving anyone a second chance? Let's examine them together to better understand how we can protect our hearts and minds from future disappointments. As the Stoic Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This quote reminds us of the importance of maintaining control over our reactions and choices, especially when it comes to allowing harmful people to remain in our lives. I invite you to share your insights and experiences, contributing to the collective wisdom we are building together. So please stay with us until the end of this video, as together we will explore how we can make this positive change in our lives. Your journey of self-awareness begins now. 1. Valuing one's own time and energy. We should not grant second chances indiscriminately, especially when it comes to protecting our precious energy and time. Valuing these resources is essential for our mental and emotional health, and granting second chances without criteria can result in a waste of energy that could be invested in more constructive people and situations. As Seneca stated, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and it has been given in generous measure for the accomplishment of the greatest things if we employ it well. This quote reminds us of the importance of using our time meaningfully and productively. Granting second chances to someone who has already shown they do not deserve them can consume time and energy that could be invested in other aspects of our lives that bring us true fulfillment. Moreover, as Epictetus teaches, we are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. Granting second chances can often be the result of a distorted view of the situation or the person in question. It is important to discern between true redemption and the persistence of harmful patterns. Valuing our energy means making decisions based on reality, not on illusions or unfounded hopes. Therefore, by refusing to give a second chance, we are protecting not only our energy and time but also our own inner peace and emotional well-being. This authenticity in self-care is an essential Stoic practice, leading us to a more centered, meaningful, and truly fulfilled life. 2. Remembering that it is possible to move on and find better people. Remembering that it is possible to move on and find better people is a powerful reason not to give a second chance to someone who has already hurt us. Often, we become stuck in the past, clinging to the hope that the situation or the person can change. However, it is important to recognize that our time and energy are too precious to be wasted on relationships or situations that do not add value to our lives. Epictetus reminds us, "Don't waste your time with things you don't want, people you don't want to be with, and things you don't want to do." This quote emphasizes the importance of valuing our limited resources and investing them only in what truly matters to us. By choosing not to give a second chance to someone who has hurt us, we are prioritizing our own well-being and happiness. Imagine yourself walking along a winding road, with the sun shining on the horizon. Sometimes, we encounter obstacles along the way, such as rocks or potholes, that cause us to stumble or veer off course. However, as we continue the journey, we realize that there are always new paths to explore, new landscapes to discover, and new people to meet. By refusing to give a second chance to someone who has hurt us, we are making room for new opportunities and experiences that can enrich us and help us grow. This choice is not only an act of self-compassion but also an act of courage and trust in the future. We are telling ourselves that we deserve more, that we deserve to be surrounded by people who value and respect us. We are freeing ourselves from the weight of the past and making space for a future full of possibilities and promises. Therefore, by remembering that it is possible to move on and find better people, we are giving ourselves the opportunity to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. We are choosing self-love and hope over regret and resignation. And in the end, that is the best decision we can make for ourselves. 3. Recognizing harmful behavior patterns. Recognizing harmful behavior patterns is crucial for our mental and emotional health. When we encounter repeated behaviors that cause us pain, stress, or suffering, it is important to be aware enough to identify these patterns and take steps to protect our well-being. Epictetus reminds us, we are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. This means that often it is our interpretations and reactions to harmful behavior patterns that affect us more than the behaviors themselves. However, recognizing these patterns allows us to change our perception and response to them, enabling us to find inner peace and resilience in the face of adversity. By identifying harmful behavior patterns, we are following the advice of Seneca: life is long enough, and it has been given to us in generous measure for the accomplishment of the greatest things, if we use it well. This means that we should use our time wisely, avoiding investing it in situations or people that lead us to negative and harmful patterns. Therefore, recognizing and interrupting harmful behavior patterns is an act of self-discipline and self-care. It is a way to prioritize our own health and happiness, refusing to allow negative patterns to dominate our lives. By doing so, we empower ourselves to live according to our values and to cultivate healthy and meaningful relationships. 4. Establishing clear boundaries and maintaining them. Establishing clear boundaries and maintaining them is essential for preserving our emotional integrity and protecting our well-being. When we set healthy boundaries, we are communicating to others our needs, values, and expectations, and we are reaffirming our right to be treated with respect and dignity. Epictetus reminds us, if you wish to be a writer, write; if you wish to be an orator, speak; if you wish to be a philosopher, practice philosophy. This quote encourages us to act according to our goals and values, without compromising our integrity. By establishing clear boundaries, we are practicing the philosophy of living an authentic life aligned with our principles. By maintaining our boundaries, we are following Seneca's advice: happiness is learning to accept situations you cannot change. This means that we should accept that we cannot always control the actions or behaviors of others, but we can control how we react to them. By maintaining our boundaries, we are exercising our power of choice and protecting our inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. By maintaining these boundaries, we stand firmly against the demands of others and the circumstances of life. It is like keeping the fence in good condition, repairing any breaches that may arise and ensuring that our emotional protection remains intact. By establishing and maintaining clear boundaries, we are following Seneca's advice: life is too short to be wasted on things that don't take us anywhere. Prioritizing our time and energy by setting healthy boundaries allows us to direct our efforts toward what is truly important and meaningful in our lives. Therefore, establishing and maintaining clear boundaries is a form of authenticity and self-determination. It is an affirmation of our own worth and a demonstration of self-compassion. By doing so, we are cultivating healthier relationships, promoting our own personal growth, and building a life that reflects our deepest values. 5. Learning from past experiences. Not giving someone a second chance can be a difficult decision, but learning from past experiences can be a valuable guide in this process. Every interaction, whether positive or negative, teaches us something about ourselves and others. If someone has hurt or disappointed us repeatedly in the past, it is important to recognize these behavior patterns and understand that trusting again may be risky. As Seneca said, experience, even if no one pays attention to it, is the best teacher. By reflecting on our past experiences, we gain wisdom and insight to make better decisions in the present. If someone has repeatedly shown lack of consideration, respect, or reliability, giving a second chance may be imprudent and even harmful to our own emotional health. Every person deserves to be treated with compassion and empathy, but we also have a responsibility to protect our own well-being. Not giving a second chance can be a form of emotional self-defense, a way to establish healthy boundaries and preserve our own peace of mind. Ultimately, the decision to give someone a second chance depends on each individual and the specific situation. However, learning from past experiences helps us make more conscious decisions aligned with our values and emotional needs. Prioritizing emotional and mental well-being is an essential reason not to give someone a second chance. When we put ourselves first and recognize the importance of our mental and emotional health, we are taking a position of authenticity and genuineness towards ourselves. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." This quote highlights the importance of taking care of our own reactions and emotions in the face of situations we encounter. If someone has deeply hurt us in the past and the mere idea of giving them a second chance causes us emotional stress or anxiety, it is a clear sign that our well-being is at stake. By prioritizing our emotional and mental well-being, we empower ourselves to make choices that promote our happiness and inner peace. If giving someone a second chance means compromising our emotional health or jeopardizing our mental stability, it is crucial to recognize this limit and act accordingly. It is important to remember that taking care of ourselves is not selfish, but rather an act of self-love and self-respect. When we put ourselves first and recognize our own needs, we are cultivating an emotionally healthy environment and nurturing our own happiness and well-being. 6. Cultivating healthy and positive relationships. Avoiding repeating the same mistakes is a powerful reason not to grant a second chance to someone who has already hurt us. When a person makes a mistake that deeply affects us, it is essential to learn from that experience and avoid falling into the same trap again. Seneca said, "No one is so wise that they have nothing to learn." This quote reminds us of the importance of humility and continuous learning throughout life. By refusing to give a second chance to someone who has hurt us, we are acknowledging that we cannot ignore past mistakes and expect different outcomes in the future. Just as a child who touches a hot flame learns not to repeat the mistake, we too must learn from the consequences of our past experiences. Granting a second chance to someone who has demonstrated a pattern of harmful behavior is like putting our hand on the same flame expecting a different result. It is imprudent and may result in more pain and suffering. By avoiding repeating the same mistakes, we demonstrate self-respect and self-preservation. We are choosing to protect ourselves and take care of our own well-being rather than exposing ourselves to potentially harmful and painful situations in the future. It is an act of wisdom to recognize when we should move on and learn from our experiences rather than being trapped in the cycle of repeating past mistakes. Cultivating healthy and positive relationships is a fundamental priority in our lives. When we encounter people who repeatedly hurt us, it is crucial to recognize that these relationships do not contribute to our emotional and mental well-being. Epictetus reminds us, "Only those who consider unhappy what happens to them are unhappy, not those who think that something unhappy has happened." This quote teaches us that the way we choose to interpret and respond to events in our lives is fundamental to our happiness and inner peace. Therefore, cultivating relationships that uplift us and make us feel valued is essential to our well-being. Imagine a garden where we cultivate different types of flowers. The flowers represent our relationships, and each one contributes uniquely to the beauty of the garden. However, if one flower starts to wilt and harm the others around it, it is wise to remove it from the garden to preserve its beauty and vitality. By cultivating healthy and positive relationships, we nurture our own growth and happiness. We are choosing to surround ourselves with people who support us, inspire us, and motivate us to be the best version of ourselves. These relationships help us to grow, to learn, and to thrive as we move away from negativity and unnecessary suffering. Therefore, when we find ourselves in a situation where someone repeatedly hurts us, it is important to recognize that giving a second chance may not be the healthiest choice for us. Instead, we should distance ourselves from these toxic relationships and seek connections that strengthen us and bring us genuine joy. This is the essence of cultivating healthy and positive relationships, a choice that leads us towards lasting happiness and well-being. 7. Focusing on people who demonstrate sincerity and respect. Focusing on people who demonstrate sincerity and respect is an attitude that reflects the valuing of our own standards and values. When we encounter individuals who do not demonstrate sincerity or respect in their behaviors, it may be necessary to reassess whether we should give them a second chance. The Stoics teach us about the importance of maintaining our principles and virtues even in the face of adversity. As Epictetus said, true happiness is to have the spirit in accordance with nature. This means that we should seek to align our actions and decisions with what is right and virtuous, even if it means taking difficult steps, such as not giving a second chance to someone who has not demonstrated sincerity or respect. We can imagine our lives as a garden where we plant seeds of trust and respect. When we give a second chance to someone who has violated these seeds, we allow weeds to grow in our garden, choking the growth of the most beautiful and healthy flowers. Therefore, by choosing to focus on people who demonstrate sincerity and respect, we are actively taking care of our own garden, ensuring that only relationships that uplift us and make us grow flourish. By prioritizing relationships based on sincerity and mutual respect, we are honoring ourselves and our values. We are choosing to surround ourselves with people who value us and treat us with the respect and consideration we deserve. This not only strengthens our interpersonal bonds but also contributes to our own happiness and emotional well-being. 8. Not succumbing to manipulation or external pressures. Not succumbing to manipulation or external pressures is another important reason not to give a second chance to someone who has already disappointed us. When we give in to manipulation or external pressures, we compromise our integrity and autonomy, allowing others to control our decisions and actions. The Stoics teach us to cultivate the virtue of self-sufficiency and not to overly rely on external opinions or influences. As Seneca stated, life is nothing but a process of decision-making. This means that we are responsible for our own choices and should act according to our principles and values, regardless of the external pressures we may face. Imagine our mind as a fortress, protected by high and impenetrable walls. When we allow manipulation or external pressures to influence our decisions, we are lowering these walls and allowing invaders into our fortress, compromising our emotional and mental security. Therefore, by refusing to give a second chance to someone who tries to manipulate or pressure us, we are reaffirming our autonomy and preserving the integrity of our inner fortress. By steadfastly holding on to our principles and values in the face of external manipulations, we strengthen our emotional resilience and protect our inner peace. We are choosing to act with integrity and authenticity, regardless of others' attempts to influence us otherwise. This steadfastness allows us to live on our own terms and to distance ourselves from relationships or situations that are not healthy or authentic. Therefore, by not succumbing to manipulation or external pressures, we are honoring ourselves and maintaining control over our own lives. We are choosing to be the architects of our own destiny and to protect our inner peace against negative or harmful influences. 9. Valuing one's self-esteem and dignity. Valuing one's self-esteem and dignity is a powerful reason not to give a second chance to someone who has hurt us. When we allow someone to disrespect us, manipulate us, or treat us inadequately, we compromise our self-esteem and dignity, jeopardizing our emotional and mental well-being. The Stoics emphasize the importance of cultivating the virtue of self-esteem and self-respect. As Marcus Aurelius stated, dignity does not consist in possessing honors, but in deserving them. This means that our self-esteem and dignity should not depend on the approval or treatment of others, but rather on our own integrity and authenticity. Imagine our self-esteem as a delicate flower that needs to be watered and cared for to blossom. When we allow someone to disrespect us or hurt us repeatedly, we are suffocating this flower and undermining our self-esteem and dignity. Every concession we make to someone who does not value or respect our feelings is like plucking a petal from this flower, diminishing its beauty and vitality. By refusing to give a second chance to someone who does not value our self-esteem and dignity, we are defending these essential aspects of our being. We are affirming our self-worth and acknowledging that we deserve to be treated with respect, kindness, and consideration in all our relationships. Maintaining our self-esteem and dignity intact allows us to live with integrity and authenticity, regardless of the circumstances or others' behavior. We are choosing to prioritize ourselves and to surround ourselves with people who truly uplift and value us. This authenticity empowers us to live a meaningful and satisfying life, where our relationships reflect our true worth and dignity as human beings. 10. Recognizing when a relationship is toxic and harmful. Recognizing when a relationship is toxic and harmful is crucial to protecting our emotional and mental health. Often, we become trapped in relationships that cause us more pain than happiness, and it's important to be able to identify the signs that a relationship is not serving us well. The Stoics remind us of the importance of cultivating healthy and virtuous relationships. Epictetus said, "Demand not that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will be happy." This means that we should accept things as they are, including the relationships in our lives, but also recognize when it's time to move on. Imagine a lush tree in a garden. This tree represents our relationships, with deep roots symbolizing the emotional bonds we share with others. When a relationship becomes toxic, it's as if this tree is suffering from a pest that's weakening it. Branches start to wither, leaves fall, and the tree begins to decline. By recognizing the signs of toxicity in a relationship, we're acting like wise gardeners who know when it's time to prune the dead branches and allow the tree to flourish again. We may feel like we're losing something by letting go of a relationship, but in reality, we're making space for new growth and blossoming in our lives. By recognizing when a relationship is toxic and harmful, we're protecting our own mental and emotional health. We're choosing to prioritize our well-being and free ourselves from the chains of negativity and pain. This is not a sign of weakness, but rather of courage and self-respect. Each of us deserves to be in relationships that nurture us, support us, and help us grow as individuals. By recognizing and acting on the signs of a toxic relationship, we're allowing ourselves to live with authenticity and integrity, honoring our own dignity and worth as human beings. 11. Not sacrificing one's own happiness for the sake of others. Not sacrificing our own happiness for others is a crucial reason not to give someone who has harmed us a second chance. Often, we may feel inclined to give someone a second opportunity, even if it means putting our own feelings and well-being aside. However, the Stoics teach us to value our own happiness and not compromise it for others. Seneca stated, "Happiness is achieved when you stop waiting for it to happen." This means that we should actively seek our own happiness instead of waiting for others to provide it for us. If we allow someone who has hurt us to have a second chance without considering how it will affect our happiness and well-being, we are compromising our own emotional integrity. Imagine a vase of flowers in a garden. These flowers represent our happiness and well-being. When we allow ourselves to be influenced by those who have harmed us in the past, we are watering our flowers with contaminated water, causing them to wither and die. Instead, we should diligently care for our own vase of flowers, ensuring that it receives only clean and nourishing water that promotes healthy growth. Not sacrificing our own happiness for others is an act of self-compassion and authenticity. We are recognizing our own worth and dignity as individuals and refusing to settle for less than we deserve. In doing so, we are honoring the Stoic principles of living according to virtue and reason, prioritizing our own happiness and well-being above all else. 12. Trusting one's own instincts and intuitions. Trusting one's own instincts and intuitions is crucial when deciding not to give someone a second chance. Our intuition often guides us in the right direction, especially when it comes to identifying harmful behavior patterns. When someone repeatedly hurts us and shows little or no genuine remorse, our intuition may alert us that this person is likely to repeat the same mistakes in the future. Trust in yourself, each heart resonates with that iron. This quote from Seneca emphasizes the importance of trusting our own instincts and intuitions. Often, our instincts alert us to situations that may not be obvious at first glance. When we feel that someone may repeat the same mistakes, it is vital to listen to this inner voice and pay attention to the signs it gives us. This does not mean being paranoid or suspicious without reason, but rather recognizing and honoring the wisdom that resides within ourselves. By trusting our instincts, we can make wiser decisions and protect our emotional well-being. Epictetus said, "Let the only security we find be in our own feelings and judgments." This quote reminds us of the importance of trusting our own instincts and judgments, especially when it comes to protecting our emotional and mental well-being. If our intuition tells us that a person has not truly changed and is likely to repeat harmful patterns, we should honor those feelings and act accordingly. Imagine yourself in a dark forest where each step is uncertain and visibility is limited. In this scenario, your intuition is the flashlight that illuminates your path, guiding you through the shadows and revealing potential dangers. If you feel that someone who has hurt you in the past is about to repeat the same mistakes, your intuition will be like a beacon warning you of approaching dangers. Trusting one's own instincts and intuitions is an act of self-confidence and self-awareness. By doing so, we are acknowledging our innate ability to discern between what is healthy and what is not, and we are protecting ourselves against future harmful situations. It is a demonstration of strength and wisdom, aligned with the Stoic principles of living according to virtue and reason. 13. Investing in reciprocal and healthy relationships. Investing in reciprocal and healthy relationships is an additional reason not to give someone a second chance who has repeatedly demonstrated harmful behaviors. When we engage in relationships that are built on the foundation of reciprocity and mutual respect, we prioritize our own happiness and well-being. Seneca wrote, "Happiness is a good flow of the soul, a good perception of the spirit, a joyful agreement with oneself." This quote emphasizes the importance of seeking relationships that bring us joy and inner peace. If a person has shown themselves incapable of positively contributing to our emotional and mental well-being, it is wise not to allow them a second chance to harm us. Imagine a carefully cultivated garden, where each plant receives the right amount of sunlight, water, and nutrients. Reciprocal and healthy relationships are like these plants flourishing in harmony, each contributing to the growth and beauty of the garden. On the other hand, allowing toxic and harmful people a second chance is like watering a poisonous plant that suffocates and destroys the others around it. By investing in reciprocal and healthy relationships, we honor our own self-esteem and dignity. We recognize our own worth and refuse to accept anything less than we deserve. It is a choice of personal empowerment, aligned with the Stoic principles of living a life of virtue and moral excellence. 14. Paying attention to warning signs and intuition. Paying attention to warning signs and intuition is crucial when deciding not to give someone a second chance. Our instincts often alert us to situations or people that may pose a threat to our emotional and mental well-being. Ignoring these signs can lead to more pain and suffering in the future. Epictetus said, "The wise man is the one who, upon seeing what is about to happen, knows what to do." This quote emphasizes the importance of being attentive to signs and acting wisely to avoid harmful situations. When our intuition warns us about harmful behavior patterns or toxic situations, we should trust it and take the necessary steps to protect our own peace and happiness. Imagine yourself navigating through a stormy sea where the choppy waves represent life's challenges and obstacles. Your instinct is like a reliable compass, pointing in the safe direction even when visibility is low and the waters are turbulent. By paying attention to warning signs and intuition, you are navigating with wisdom, avoiding the dangers that may arise from allowing harmful people back into your life. By refusing to give someone a second chance based on warning signs and intuition, you are demonstrating authenticity and self-confidence. You are honoring your own truth and standing up for your own boundaries and values. This choice is aligned with the Stoic principles of living a life of virtue and integrity, even if it means following a less conventional or challenging path. 15. Believing in one's own worth and deserving. Believing in one's own worth and deserving is essential to not giving someone who has hurt us a second chance. Often, after being hurt by someone, we may doubt our own worth and question whether we deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. However, it's important to remember that we all deserve to be loved, respected, and valued in our relationships. Stoicism reminds us that our intrinsic worth is not tied to the opinions or actions of others. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This means we can choose how we value ourselves and how we allow others to treat us. By firmly believing in our own worth, we are setting a standard for the kind of treatment we accept in our lives. Imagine yourself as a precious gem, shining with your own light. You are unique and valuable, deserving of being treated with love, respect, and dignity. When someone hurts us, it's like they're trying to tarnish our beauty and shine. However, by recognizing our own worth and deserving, we can refuse to let that happen. We are protecting our essence and preserving our self-esteem. By choosing not to give someone who has hurt us a second chance, we are reaffirming our own worth and dignity. We are telling ourselves and the world that we deserve to be treated with kindness, love, and respect. We are putting ourselves first and showing that we will not tolerate any kind of harmful or abusive behavior. Therefore, believing in one's own worth and deserving is a powerful reason not to give someone who has hurt us a second chance. We are honoring ourselves and standing up for the right to be treated with dignity and respect in all our relationships. And in doing so, we are building a solid foundation for a life of self-esteem, confidence, and genuine happiness. 16. Understanding that it's valid to say no to second chances when necessary to protect one's own well-being. Understanding that it's valid to say no to second chances when necessary to protect one's own well-being is an act of self-compassion and self-defense. Sometimes, we find ourselves in situations where someone has deeply hurt us, and there may be social or internal pressure to forgive and give a new chance. However, it's crucial to recognize that our emotional and mental health is at stake, and we shouldn't compromise it in order to maintain a harmful relationship. The Stoics teach us about the importance of protecting our inner peace and maintaining our serenity in the face of adversity. As Seneca said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Saying no to second chances when necessary is an act of courage because it requires us to acknowledge our own limits and prioritize our well-being above all else. Imagine yourselves as guardians of a precious inner garden where we cultivate our peace, happiness, and emotional balance. When we allow people who have hurt us in the past to re-enter our lives without a significant change in their behavior, we are allowing weeds of toxicity and pain to invade our garden, hindering our flourishing. Saying no to second chances when necessary is like erecting a protective fence around our inner garden, shielding it from harmful influences. We are affirming our right to live in a healthy and harmonious environment free from drama and toxicity. This is a decision of self-compassion and authenticity, which allows us to grow and flourish at our own pace and path. By refusing second chances when necessary, we are honoring our feelings and needs and demonstrating self-respect and self-love. We are choosing to prioritize our emotional and mental health, and that is an act of courage and authenticity. This choice enables us to move forward with serenity and confidence, knowing that we are protecting what matters most, our well-being and happiness. In this journey, we have carefully examined the 20 reasons why it is prudent not to grant a second chance to those who have hurt us, thereby protecting ourselves from potential emotional harm. By recognizing warning signs and maintaining our boundaries, we strengthen our ability to preserve our own dignity and well-being. The words of Seneca resonate deeply, reminding us that true wisdom lies not in the absence of difficulties, but in the ability to face them with courage and discernment. By learning to deal with adversities, we develop an inner strength that empowers us to confront life's challenges with resilience and wisdom. My friends, I invite you to join this community where we seek deeper understanding and ever-growing wisdom. By sharing our thoughts and experiences, we strengthen the foundations of our collective development. It is through open dialogue and the exchange of ideas that we enrich our journey of self-awareness and personal growth.